Hello everyone, my name is Ajay Poddar. I am part of Informatica GCS team. As a part of today's presentation, we are going to see how to verify database connectivity from a Kubernetes Driver Pod for CDI Advanced Mapping. As a part of today's presentation, we'll be discussing on this agenda, steps to configure and the demo. This test is to verify the database connectivity from Kubernetes pod for troubleshooting the advanced mapping issue. So to proceed further with this test, download the JDBC test and the DB properties file from this KB article. So this is the KB article. Here you can see in the file section JDBC test 2.2 and the db.properties file. Download this 2 file and place it to any temp directory on the secure agent machine. This is my secure agent machine and I have created a temp directory with the name dbtest and place those 2 files under this directory. Now after placing these 2 files to temp directory on the secure agent machine, edit the db.properties file and update the line number 44, 61, 89, 92, 144 and 137. So on line number 44, you need to update the JDBC driver class name for the database which you want to perform the test. So on line number 61, update the JDBC connection string for which you want to perform the test. On line number 89 and 92, update the database name and the username for connecting to that database. And on the line number 144, update the SQL query to test the query on the database. You can update any query. In my case, I'm just performing select star from table name. And under the line number 137, update the JDBC jar file name for which you are performing the test connection. So on line number 44, you need to update the class name for the JDBC driver which you are using or for which you want to perform the test. And under the line number 61, you need to update the JDBC connection string which you want to connect from the Kubernetes pod. And similarly on line number 89 and 92, update the username and password for the DB. And on line number 144, update the query which you want to perform on the DB. So in my case, I'm selecting from the batch table. And on the line number 137, you need to update the particular JDBC driver jar file name under this DIS jar path. So currently in this test, I'm performing the Oracle database test from the Kubernetes pod. So all the details I'll be updating based on the Oracle DB. Now once the db.properties files is configured with all the arguments, start the advanced mapping from IDMC to start the Kubernetes pod. And this is my advanced mapping and which is currently in running state, and also the advanced cluster is up and running. As we can see, Infi Spark is in the running state. So now once the advanced cluster is up and running, set this to environment variable on secure agent machine, that is kubeconfig and path. So under this kubeconfig environment variable, you need to update the few details like secure agent home, AtSQL server latest version and the cluster ID. So secure agent home, you can update it accordingly, and for getting the AtSQL server latest version, execute the command ps-ep pipe grep at scale. So after executing this command, you will see the process which is in running state and the AtSQL server latest version which is currently being used. So in this you can see AtSQL server /46.0.3.1 which is currently being used in my machine. So copy this latest version and substitute this value to this latest version. And now for getting the cluster ID, you can get it from the advanced mapping session log. So for that, download the session log from IDMC and open the session execution log. In this session execution log, you will see the keyword with cluster ID, and in this cluster ID, you can see the cluster ID which is starting from 6ht and ending with .local. So now copy this cluster ID and update the cluster ID in this cluster ID section. So once you have substituted all the value in this path, execute this path kubeconfig. I have executed the kubeconfig environment variable. Now next you need to do similar thing for the path environment variable. In this path environment variable, you need to update the secure agent home and the latest statistical server version, which we have got from the ps-ef command. So for me it is 46.0.3.1 and the secure agent home I have updated. Now copy this environment variable and execute it from the secure agent machine. We have set both the environment variable on the secure agent machine. Now as a next step, execute the kubectl get csr command from the secure agent machine. So for executing the kubectl get csr command, copy this command as it is. No update is required in this command. I have executed this command. You can ignore this error message and move to the next step. So the next step will be getting the list of the running pod under the Kubernetes pod. So for that, execute kubectl get pods-a. Kubectl get pod-a. So once you execute the kubectl get pod-a command, you will see the list of the all the running pod on the Kubernetes cluster. So we need to log in to this Spark driver pod. For this, copy the name of this pod. So once you copy the name of the pod, as a next step, we'll be needing to update some file from the local system to the particular Kubernetes Spark driver pod. So for that, run the kubectl cp command, which will copy the files from the local system to Spark driver pod under the /stem directory. So what all file we are copying from the local system? That is the JDK file from the secure agent home and db.properties file, jdbc test.jar file, which is located on our temp directory. And the last one will be the jdbc driver file, which is being used with the current connection. So for me, currently I am doing test for Oracle database and I am using the Oracle jar file from the Informatica location only. So this can vary based on what database you are using. So under this kubectl cp command, you need to update the few arguments like secure agent home, temp directory, and the Spark driver pod name. So you can get the Spark driver pod name by running the kubectl get -pod a command, where you will see the Spark driver pod which is in the running state. So as we have already copied this driver pod name, you just need to substitute the value on this kubectl cp command. So I have substituted all the kubectl cp command with the Spark driver pod name value. Now let's run this command, which will copy the file from local system to the Kubernetes Spark driver pod. Copy the first command. First command is executed. Now similarly you have to execute the remaining command one by one. So I have copied all the 4 files, that is JDK, DB properties, JDBC test2.2 jar file, and the my Oracle JDBC driver to the /temp location of Spark Kubernetes Driver Pod. Now once you copied all the files to /temp directory of Kubernetes pod, log into Spark driver Kubernetes pod by running this kubectl exe-it command. So under this kubectl exe command, which is used for logging to the particular pod which you have specified. So here currently we're trying to log into Spark driver pod. You need to update the Spark driver pod name, which you will get from kubectl get-pod a command. So this is the same driver pod name. Copy the name and update the value in this command. Now copy this command. So now we are logged into Spark driver pod. Now once you are logged into Spark driver pod, execute this command from the Spark driver pod, which will perform the test connectivity of the database which you have configured on the db.properties file. So now for running this final command to perform the test connectivity of the database, you need to get the Zulu version which is placed under the /temp directory. So for that you should be logged into Spark driver pod cd /temp/jdk ls. So under this /temp jdk directory, copy the latest Zulu file name. So I'm copying this one and substitute the value. Once you update the Zulu file name under this command, copy this command and execute it from the Kubernetes driver pod which you have logged in. So for me, I'm able to successfully run this program, and you can see here the connection was successful, and it has also provided the output for select star table name, as you can see here, with the metadata and the table data. So similarly, you will be able to perform the database connectivity from Kubernetes Spark driver pod for troubleshooting the advanced mapping issue. So in this video, I have performed the test for Oracle database. Similarly, you will be able to perform the test for other relational connector. As mentioned in this db.properties file, you can see the database type for which you can perform the test connectivity. For more information on performing this connectivity and for getting the list of the command to be executed, please refer this KB article. We'd love to hear from you. You can send us a mail to supportvideos@informatica.com or tweet us on twitter.com/infasupport. Thank you.